My name is Larissa, and we're going to practice together for about 15 minutes. Just an opportunity to slow down and just reminder our meditation practice. We're not trying to get anywhere, we're not trying to fix anything. Although sometimes our mind thinks that we're supposed to be feeling a certain way, we're really just showing up exactly as we've shown up. So, rather, if you're sleepy or you're excited or you're agitated or you're somewhere in between, that's exactly what you're tending to, just how you're feeling in your body this morning. And we're working with nature meditation. You don't have to be outside. It's sometimes nice to open a window and hear a bird song or rain or whatever it is. But reminder that your body is nature. So we're just existing with nature by noticing what we're feeling in our body. So whether that's emotion or breath or noticing thinking mind and how our thinking mind affects our body. So we're not trying to shut our thoughts down. We're noticing how our mind affects us. And so often our mind is just doing what it does. It's busy, it's running, and we have an opportunity to give our mind permission to rest and really notice our relationship with our body, with our mind, with our environment. And that's essentially what we're practicing, just paying attention, just noticing, and to the best of our ability, being kind to ourselves in the process. Now, with that in mind, we'll settle into our body. It's an invitation to either close your eyes or set your gaze downward. And often that helps our mind slow down. As we draw in information through our eyes, our visual cortex is one of the largest parts of our sensory awareness in our brain. So just the act of softening or closing our eyes helps slow what's happening in the mind. And occasionally when you close your eyes, there's more happening in the mind. Suddenly you notice what's happening in there, and that's okay too. It's just this curiosity. So when I soften my gaze, what do I notice? When I bring my attention to my body, what do I become aware of? When I bring my attention to my breath, can I notice the shift and change with it? Can I notice that small space between breaths, a little bit of stillness? Just inviting in some curiosity, just noticing what you notice about being in your body this morning. And so we slow down. It often requires a gentle effort, a gentle return to ourselves. And it can be many, many times that we have this return to ourselves. Well, it's so common that our brain wants us to pull into the future and we start planning ahead, or we go into the past remembering something, or sometimes just this random barrage of thoughts. What's for dinner? My shirt is itchy. Oh, this feels really nice. All of these things. And when we're aware of that, it gives us the opportunity to observe it rather than getting caught up in it. I can see my thoughts, and that helps me recognize I'm not my thoughts only. They're part of my behavior, they're part of my being, but they're not who I am. So when I think a thought, it is just simply that. It's just a thought. And that observation allows me to unhook at times and just notice the experience of being. When you notice, can you notice some sensation of temperature in your body? A warmth, a coolness, a neutrality? As many times our mind is active, and what we're thinking about is important. And that pulls us away from the simplicity of noticing something small like, what's the temperature like in my body? We tend to notice it when it's rather pleasant or rather unpleasant. So I'm too cold, I'm too hot. Suddenly we're noticing, like, oh, the sun feels really nice on my back, and we notice it. But in this slowing down, we can start to notice more of those neutral spaces. Very often in neutrality, there's a genuine appreciation that just naturally arises. We don't have to force the gratitude. We just notice, look, my body actually feels a pleasant temperature. Right. Ooh, my hands are a little bit chilly. I'm going to tuck them in and warm them up. It's just these little tiny, simple experiences that can bring us moments of joy. What do you notice here? It's the temperature in your body.
What?
This simple noticing, it helps us notice also when we're judging instead of just experiencing. And we do it often. We move from this pleasant to unpleasant. When we wake up, we're like, oh, thank goodness for the rain. My garden really needed it. Or the sound of the rain helped me sleep. And by the same token, we might wake up and like, oh crap, it's raining. I have a big event outdoors today. I don't want it to be raining. And it just depends on the day and what we expect. The experience is just happening. The rain is just raining. The sun is just sunning. So if I'm in the sun and I stay too long and I become sunburned, the sun is just sunning. It's me and my experience. And so we're making this series of choices to just allow the experience when we're sitting. And when we can allow, oh, here's a strong emotion. I'm thinking about the future and I got nervous all of a sudden. Instead of getting caught up in that nervousness, we can tend to it. So, oh, what does that nervousness feel like in my body? Instead of judging, oh, I always get nervous. I always do this. I never do this. They always, I never. And the mind just goes. And when we notice the mind and it's going, we can invite it back to the stillness of the body. And just taking a note from the sun as it suns. The sun is shining behind the clouds always. It's just doing its work. And we're doing the same. Our body is just breathing for us. Our heart is doing its work. And our mind is also doing its work. Sometimes it gets caught in loops that are less than helpful. And when we can notice that, we can start to add layers of support. So just recognizing, oh, I'm just having a moment of difficulty. It's exactly the same as, oh, I noticed my hands are cold. I'm going to tend to that. Those moments of difficulty that arise, they're just telling us that we need our own support. It's just one breath at a time, one observation at a time. The more we can see our thoughts, the less they have control of us. Just one breath at a time. And whether we're observing our own thoughts, our own breath, observing the sun do its work, the rain do its work, we're just contacting our humanness and contacting our connection. It's connection to the present moment. It's just awareness. And then making a choice. Am I supporting myself or am I making things more difficult? And just an example of this, I had an experience just yesterday. Put one of my beautiful outdoor or indoor plants outside on the deck to get some sun and rain. And I noticed when I got home that I had accidentally sunburnt some of the beautiful leaves. And I had this moment of judgment of myself. It was already raining, it was already dark, the sun was no longer causing difficulty for this plant. But I was so upset with myself in that moment. Like, oh, I always do this. I never take care of my things. This old story started running in my mind. And then I paused for a second. Gratitude for my meditation practice for allowing that pause. But recognizing my plant is no longer suffering. Who's suffering right now is me, because I'm taking that judgment and I'm just piling it onto myself. And I didn't cause irreparable harm to my beautiful jade plant that I've had for years. I just brought her back inside. And this morning, she's quite happy with all the rain that she received. So just noticing those moments. Am I causing myself more difficulty by the way that my mind is running? But my body is right here. My body picked up that beautiful plant and took care of her. So I'll invite you in this moment just to take a moment to appreciate something about your body. It's not always easy. But just the simplicity of noticing your hands and the weight of them on your lap. That can be so enjoyable when we just notice it. Thanking your hands for pouring you a glass of water, thanking your ribs for moving as you breathe. Some simple act that you could thank your body for. And then noticing your hands again, bringing them into any of your closing habits or practices. And we'll end as we often do with a few loving kindness phrases, just repeating them back if they make sense for you. May I slow down today in order to appreciate something. May I take time to appreciate my body as nature? May I remember the innate goodness of my breath? And when action is needed, may I choose to move with ease and peace. And take your time, always going slow if you can, opening your eyes, finding movement in your body. And take a moment to thank yourself. Thank you, Sangha, for being here, supporting each other. It's beautiful to practice with you in this way.